We're Cesar and Pam with cesarandpam.com.
And we want to help you get to the top, whatever it is, your career, your business, but without losing your family in the process. And it's telling me that it's live already. Yeah. I don't know if it's my internet or my laptop, but it seems to be taking a long time to decide when this is starting. So thanks for logging in. If you know anybody who would benefit from this, please share the link. Send us your comments, your questions, your complaints to Pam. But we want to help you in this very important subject, in this very important journey of family, in trying to achieve whatever you feel that God is calling you to achieve in this life. And I feel like many times, honey, we live now in a society of comparison. We're constantly comparing ourselves to other people, who supposedly are having so much success, and then we're always comparing ourselves to somebody else's best version, the highlight reel, and to our limited version of ourselves in what it is our life today. And then many times we get out of balance.
Yeah, it's true. I think we have more opportunity to compare ourselves now. It's when we were young, we didn't have Facebook and Instagram. We didn't see what other people's lives so much. You had to go visit someone. You had movies, right? But you didn't have your whole social life being talked about all the time and other people talking about theirs.
Yeah. We've had a business for the last 7 years, in an online business, in a network marketing industry. And whenever we related to people that were having success or want to have success, they always said, hey, you got to give it your all. But our concern was that I didn't want to give it my all. And then when I look back and, I got to the top, I realized that I have nothing left because I sacrificed everything else for one area of my life. And we realized that there is a way to be strategic, as we talked last week, to be able to get your life in order so that you can, yes, get to the top, but never at the sake of what's most important to you. And today we're going to talk about, are your kids not talking to you? Are you having that problem? Do you feel that you're disconnected from them? We started that subject last week, and we're going to break it up in 2 segments. The first one is, it's a very different story when your kids are little than when they go into the teenage years. We have, how many kids do we have, Pam, for those who don't know?
Okay, we have 6 kids. Our oldest is our daughter that's 26, and she's married. Then we have a 24-year-old son who's married. And then we have a 20-year-old, 16-year-old, 13-year-old, and 12-year-old sons that are living at home still.
Right. So we're pretty busy, right? And when we were talking about this last week, we talked about needing to be strategic. So we're going to tell you the reason why your kids might not be listening to you, might not wanting to talk to you. And we're going to go into a lot of more detail today for younger kids. But on the next Facebook Live, we'll talk about teenagers, because it's a little bit different there. But I remember one time, let's start with this. Let's start with a cartoon. I saw a cartoon that really broke my heart a few years ago. And somebody reshared it today, and I happened to see it again. And the cartoon says, there's a little kid talking to his dad. His dad is working by the desk, and he's asking him, Daddy, he said, not right now, son. Then when he gets a little older, same thing. The dad's getting ready to go to work, and he's saying, I'm trying to block it.
That's all right.
And he's saying, Dad. And he said, not right now, son. Then he's becoming a little older, maybe like 11 or 12. And he said, Dad. And the dad is on his phone saying, not right now, son. And then later, the dad is getting older, and he says, son. And the son is smoking with a hoodie on, saying, not right now, man. And it just broke my heart, because nobody starts a family, nobody has kids, and then thinks that that's what they look like years down the road. But there are mistakes that we have committed, that we've made, that I think have affected negatively our relationship with our kids in some instances. And in some other times, we did the right thing that we also want to share with you.
Yeah, so one of the things that that is important, and is building in times that you are going to communicate and relate together as a family. Make that a priority. I know eating together has been a priority for our family. I do enjoy cooking. I mean, it gets old doing it every day all the time, but I appreciate that it's a time that we're going to spend together. So I think we've built that habit, that we're going to have meals together. And that's one way to build connection and just an opportunity for conversation.
So we talked about it last week. The quality moments take place during quantity time. So you have to create those times, as you said, sharing a meal together. And here's the first tip: learn to listen to them. One time when Natalia was little, she was going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate her birthday, and she asked me, "Papi, how do you make a piñata?" So in Mexico, being from Mexico, I grew up with piñatas. Now they've become so popular worldwide, especially in the U.S. And instead of saying, "Oh, I don't know," or "Why don't you Google it?" I said, "You know what?" I thought, she's asking me right now. I have a question. I'm asking you to interact with me, to spend time with me in this particular way. So here's the tip. Your child is asking you every day in which way they want to spend time in that moment. So I remember that when I grew up in Mexico, in kindergarten, they taught us, and I think in elementary school too, but bring a balloon, you blow up a balloon, then you bring a newspaper, you tear it up, and you make this mix with flour and water, and it turns into a glue. So you blow up the balloon, and then you take a piece of newspaper and you dip it into that mix, and then you stick it on the balloon. You wait for it to dry, and then once it dries, then you decorate it, right? And then you pop the balloon, and then you stick the food and whatnot, the goodies in there.
Yeah, I remember, the big mess that created, but the fun, just the enjoyment, the conversation about stories from you growing up and piñatas and what that meant. And I remember that for a while that brought a tradition where before birthdays you were making piñatas with the kids. I think it was CJ that wanted a Batman piñata.
Oh, that's
and
true.
I remember you making that for another birthday. And so sometimes, it's the things you do one time end up becoming traditions in your family that can be really special and memorable, and just create those bonds, and stories. I mean, so many times when you get together, when they're older, it's going to be talking about the things that you did together when you were young.
Yeah, I remember another time when I was working in the office. One of my goals was to be able to be around the family, and that's why we started homeschooling too, because you can create more moments, more potential moments when they can share with you. And he was, I don't know, he must have been like 6 years old. Yeah, you think so? Yeah. So he asked me, "Hey, you know how to trap a rat?" And I said, "What?"
Oh, he was older then. I thought he asked you how long the snake was.
Oh, okay. Well,
wasn't there one?
Yeah. There's no. Well, let's talk about a mouse first.
Okay.
You kind of catch a mouse, and I said, "Why are you asking that?" Instead of saying, "Well, I don't know, I'm busy right now," I thought, "Okay, right now, pause. He's asking me to spend time with him in a particular way." So I asked him, "Why are you asking me that?" And he said, "Oh, because I just finished reading this book on trapping animals, how to trap bears, and how to trap, I don't know, I forget now. But one way to trap mice is, here, I'll show you." So I went to the backyard, and we had seen a mouse some days before, and he had made a trap with some bricks, on top of each other. And then in the middle of it, there was a bucket, and then there was a piece of wood that was leaning on the bucket, and he had some bait, and the mouse was supposed to walk down and fall in the bucket. And he never trapped the mouse, but that was an opportunity for me to listen to him and to create those bonds.
Yeah, and a lot of times they built another Lego building, car, something they want you to see. They love to show you what they've created. And I think a lot of times we think, "Oh, I'm busy doing something," but it wouldn't take very long. I think sometimes we think, "Oh, it's such a big interruption," but they're asking for a couple minutes, to go admire something they created. And so it's take those moments, take advantage, because they really are telling you how they want to spend time with you.
Yeah, and I think we were pretty intuitive about kids being young and doing that with them, honey. But I think what we might have made more mistakes, especially me, I'm sure I did, was uh, being too critical. And we'll talk about that on the next one, especially as they become teenagers, that it's really important that you learn to listen to them. Dale Carnegie, on his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, talks about that everybody's favorite subject is themselves. If you look for yourself on a group picture, I mean, if you look at a group picture, who do you look for first? Yourself. And if you see that you see that group picture, somebody else took the picture and you look like this, and you're like, hey, why did they upload the picture like that? Well, because they weren't looking at you. They were looking about themselves. So when you're a child or when you're teenagers wanting to share something with you, before you react, even if it's something you disagree with, it's the moment to just listen to them. So I'll give you the general principle. Eat together, read together, explain everything to them when they're little. Geography, politics. We have some good friends he's from Chile and she's from France. They live in France and they were visiting here last year. And their daughters are French. They speak all these languages, right? But they speak English with a little bit of a French accent, which sounds so cool. And our kids were intrigued by it. So it was a great opportunity to go get the globe and look at the country and study the country. And that's another reason why we decided to homeschool, because it gives you so many opportunities for learning.
Yeah. I think we wanted to have that time. We wanted our kids to want to spend time with each other and with us. And sometimes it's harder when there's more competition, and we just felt like, let's create a game that we can win. And homeschooling was part of that. There were things that we wanted them to learn. There were ideas values and things that we wanted to instill in them. We wanted their relationship with their siblings to be their strongest friendship, and their relationship with us. And so, I think that was part of creating a game we could win. And if you're not homeschooling, you just have to think that way. How am I going to win this game? It's probably going to be doing homework with them after school. It's really prioritizing time that you're going to spend with your kids. And that doesn't mean that your life just revolves around your child's activities. No, that means that you're going to invite them into your world too, because part of we talked about this last week, but you have to take advantage. You can't just say, okay, my child's home from school, I'm going to spend all my time with them. No, because you have to make dinner, you have to do laundry, you have to do other things, but you bring them into that, okay, I'm going to make dinner. I'm not going to send them off to watch a video or play a video game while I'm making dinner. I'm going to say, hey, we're going to make dinner together. We're making this. You can do this part. And while you're working together, you're going to be able to talk together, and sometimes it creates more work, but it's worth it. It's worth it because you're spending that time together. So, it doesn't have to just be activities that revolve around them. It's what are the things that have to happen to make our family work, and we're going to work at them together.
Yeah, that's really good. And right now, we're filming this right before the election here in the U.S. And we're finding out, I'll give you a quick tip about teenagers. We're finding out that some of our kids may have different views than we do. And I'm just finally realizing that I've been doing too much talking. I've been doing too much critiquing about what they might believe that maybe disagrees with me. And just this week, I purposely, proactively decided I'm going to listen to my 16-year-old as he explains things to me. And I realized that we're not that far from each other, really. But if all we do is me explaining what I believe, and then he gets a chance to maybe get a word in, that's not real communication. So I have to really listen and find out why is something important to him.
And you have an advantage when they're young is that they really want to listen to you. Yeah. They really do respect your opinions. So don't think it's too early to talk about everything. Like you said, talk about politics, talk about the Bible, talk about questions that people have about the Bible. Why do they have them? What are they thinking? talk through those things. That's when they want to hear what you think when they're little. Yeah. And read books about it. That's one of my favorite things. I mean, create time for reading, because you don't have to just be talking about your family. You're going to talk about a book. They're going to get to know a character in that book. So if you find quality literature and they're talking about honesty, they're dealing with subjects. They're talking about relationships between the father and the son and the mother or the siblings, friends, how they're affected by peer pressure. All those things come up in books that are written in a good way, and they're getting a message without you preaching it, without you teaching it, and it's something that you can talk about and all relate to. And if we have a lot of people are like, my child doesn't like to read, or we don't have time. And that's where, we've talked about this example before, but you really have to think, what are the big rocks? And
Stephen Covey talks about this in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, about a guy who was doing a conference on time management. And he stood up in front of the room and told them, this symbolizes all the available time you have. And the things that you put in here symbolize the things that you can do in your life. So he took out a few rocks, were pretty big in size. Here, honey, can you grab this? Yeah. And he asked them, can I fit these rocks in here? And it looked like maybe they wouldn't fit, but in a way that he knew just how to do it, he fit all the rocks in here.
Yeah. So usually, are we going to talk about the...
Well, you want to say that first, and then I'll exemplify it, or I'll finish the example first.
Okay. I just feel like we've talked about it before, but maybe you missed it, so go ahead.
Yeah, I probably missed it. So then, in a way that he knew just how, he put the rocks in there, and I forget exactly how it goes on me, but maybe you can. And he put them in, and they fit perfectly, right? And he asked them, "Can I fit anything else in here?" And they say, "Well, no, because it's pretty full." But he took out another jar full of gravel. Can you, honey? You want to hold for me?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can fit them in there. And it went through the cracks and it went right to the top, right? And then he asked them, "Can I fit anything else in here?"
Looks pretty full.
And people said, "Well, no, it's pretty full." But he took out a jar full of sand and then he filled it up again one more time. And then he asked them, "Can I fit anything else in here?" And they said, "Okay, no, that's it. It's too full." And he took out a jar full of water and he poured it to the top and it fit.
Yeah, and so they thought, wow. So I guess the moral of the story is that if you organize the things just right, you can do everything you want.
And he said, no. The moral is what, honey?
The moral is if you don't put the big rocks in first, they'll never fit.
Later.
Later.
So tell us about that. How does that exemplify?
So I was thinking about that example with things that we think are important and then we want our kids to value. So I'm going to get a big rock here. If you believe that one of the big rocks is that your child would love to read, then you can't wait. You can't fill their life with video games and sports commitments and who knows what with their telephone. You can't fill their life with that and then try to fit in reading good books. It's not going to happen. You have to decide, this is a big rock. We're going to put it in first. We're going to read together from the time that they're young. We're going to invest in really quality literature to have in our homes, things that are just going to invite them. And then we have to create a game we can win. So a big rock is not, if we decided a big rock wasn't going to be the video games, wasn't going to be, what do you call that? All the things they have now that they never
those games. I didn't even play them. So
I know.
They used to have a Wii, and now they have the Xbox and all those things.
All those things. And there's handheld ones. There's ones to go on your TV. I mean,
on your phone, on the iPad.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta wait. You gotta wait on because they have to love reading first, or that it's not. They're not gonna. Reading is not. Books are not going to compete with those images and games. So put it in first. You know, if you want your child to love and know who God is, then fit it in first with talking about the Bible, reading the Bible together, worshiping together, talking about God when you're out in creation. It's got to come first, because later if you think, okay, Sundays at Sunday school, they're going to get that, I'm going to cram it in. It's a big rush. No, it's not going to fit. Yeah, those are just a couple examples. I know one thing that happens a lot in the United States is that we decide that the big rock of athletics and sports activities for our kids,
entertainment,
I guess because we have boys, that's going to be a priority. That's a big rock, and we put it in our jar first, and then they get good at their sport. And so it's not once a week that they have practice and one game a week. It becomes they need to be on this special team, and they're going to have practice every night. And then we're not just going to play games on Saturday. We have to play games on Sunday. We're not just going to play locally. We're going to travel places. And so then, I mean, the jar is full of that sport. And you wonder why don't they have a relationship with God? Why don't they have a relationship with us? Why don't they want to read? Well, their life is full of that one thing. So something when they're little, they don't have to be professionals, make it fun. They don't even have to be on a team. If, we have a big enough family, there were enough kids that they could just play together in the backyard with dad.
We're not saying they shouldn't, right?
They're on teams,
Yeah, they're teams, but you have to be strategic about it. When we talk about it since last week.
Yeah, and one of our sons ended up playing football and becoming so good that he was encouraged by coaches to play in college, which he ended up doing. So it's not that it won't end up being something that to them is important. But you have to decide when they're young if you want some other big rocks in their life.
Just be aware of it. And we're going to stop right there, because next week we're going to get into more the teenage years. A lot of the tips we'll give you right now is how to be proactive when they're little. And in the teenage years is when I started making a lot of mistakes myself. And I already told you a little bit about it. But how can you replace criticism with listening? We'll talk about that next week. And if you like the video, like and subscribe, follow us on Cesar and Pam, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And we really want to help you get to the top of whatever you feel God is calling you to do, whether it be within the church or whether it be in your business, in your career, but without sacrificing your family in the process. So
we're Cesar and Pam, cesarandpam.com.
See you on the next one, and send us your questions, your comments right here. Tell us where you're coming from, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you, guys.